It takes something special to make waves in the medium SUV market in Australia. Usually full of practical, affordable and tech-laden high-riding wagons, the Cupra Ateca carved its own path when it was introduced to Australia in 2022. This is a sporting SUV at heart. New for 2024 is a new entry-level variant, the Cupra Ateca V. It also represents the most affordable way you can buy into a Cupra Ateca. I'm here to find out whether this still represents good value for money, so let's get right into it. You can see on the front end, there is little visual difference between this entry-level version and its more potent VZX stablemate, but you aren't getting those Cupra copper accents for the wheels. Now you can see in its side profile design, this is a tall, boxy SUV shape. It is unashamedly spacious inside the cabin, which we'll get to in just a moment. But one thing I think, it is looking a little bit old compared to some of the newer Cupra designs, such as the Tavascan or the Cupra Born. Let us know what you think about the car's design in the comments below. And while you're down there, be sure to give us a like on YouTube to show your support. Until now, the Cupra Ateca has only ever been offered in Australia in the range-topping VZX variant. That means its 2-litre turbocharged petrol engine churns out 221 kilowatts and 400 newton meters to all four wheels. It's exciting performance, but it also costs $63,990 drive away. This new Cupra Ateca V specification sits on the other end of the spectrum. It's been decontented and detuned, but it also comes with an attractive $49,888 drive-away price point. It's now the most affordable SUV in the Cupra range. The model still gets a 2-litre turbocharged petrol engine, but it outputs 140 kilowatts and 320 newton meters. This power is sent to all four wheels through a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. Effectively, the Cupra Ateca is mechanically identical to the Skoda Karoq Sportline, but it comes better equipped at a more attractive price point. The new variant is designed to attract new customers to the brand, and it targets even the Volkswagen Group's own brands. As mentioned, the Cupra Ateca V is now more than $2,500 cheaper than the comparable Skoda Karoq Sportline. You can compare this car and its competitors on Drive.com.au, and you can even browse examples for sale on Drive Marketplace. Buyers who still want that sportier edge can opt for the Cupra Ateca VZX and its hot powertrain, which remains at $63,990 drive away at least until the end of 2024. Compared to the Ateca VZX, the V gets 19-inch two-tone alloy wheels, black leather upholstered seats, and dual-zone climate control. However, it does miss out on adaptive dampers, a 360-degree surround view camera, and the 9-speaker Beats sound system. These items can be optioned back in with a $2,900 tech package. It's easy to appreciate the level of space on offer inside this Cupra Ateca, especially given the external dimensions, which do sort of look a little bit smaller, but inside the cabin, it's a different story. This is really spacious. I've got good headroom above me and a really decent space around my knees as well, and there's good adjustment to get a nice driving position. This thing is absolutely packed full of features as well. On the tech front, you've got a 9.2-inch infotainment screen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a 10.25-inch digital cluster, heated front seats and the steering wheel, wireless smartphone charging, ambient lighting and puddle lamp projection, and keyless entry. The display isn't the largest in its segment. Several rivals offer 12.3-inch screens and beyond, but it contains the right amount of features. I just wish it was easier to navigate because you have to remember what each icon represents. Where this car starts to fall behind a little bit in comparison to its newer rivals is with respect to design and presentation. This whole central stack sort of interface here does look a little bit old hat in 2024, and it does feel like it's well overdue for an update. However, on the plus side, this thing does feel really well built and really well put together. There are nice materials inside the cabin, from the seat leather to the steering wheel leather, and even on the soft touch dash, it all feels quite nice and well put together even when you are out on the road. Space and comfort in the second row is still really decent. I've got good knee room and good foot room behind my own driving position, and this thing doesn't get sliding second row or a reclining seat back, but that is something we like to see in a medium-sized SUV. But overall, this is really decent in terms of space and size. In terms of amenities, you've got air vents, dual USB-C ports, a fold-down center armrest with a pair of cup holders, and then things like lights and grab handles above you as well. Really nice overall. Around the rear, we've got a power-operated tailgate, which is nice to see in an entry-level variant. It opens to pave way to a 485-litre space. That is pretty decent for a medium-sized SUV. We like to see it around the 500-litre mark, so not doing bad in the storage stakes. But one thing I do love about the Cupra Ateca is the fact that you can fold down the second row using these levers in the back of the boot here. That is really handy in a medium-sized SUV. Now, let's get into the drive. Behind the seat of the Cupra Ateca V, and one thing I immediately want to point out while we're going at low speeds is the fact that this car is quite refined. It's nice and comfortable when you are going over sort of around town bumps and speed humps and train tracks and that sort of thing. This car is really well damped. Now, while it may not have adaptive dampers like you do get in the Cupra Ateca VZX, the single rate of damping that you do get in this Cupra Ateca V is really well balanced across around town comfort and when you are driving this thing a little bit more sportily. So really well done to the Cupra engineers in that regard, because I think it strikes the right balance between the two. As we go over a speed hump there, it is really well damped and things are absorbed really easily. That was a speed hump just there, and it doesn't really upset the cabin ambience, and overall it's just really nicely sort of refined in that regard. One thing I do find about this car is it does have a fair bit of road noise. When you are driving over coarse chip bitumen like we are at the moment, there is a little bit of noise echoing throughout the interior, and it's not the sort of quietest experience, but it's not the worst thing in the world and certainly isn't a deal breaker. Under the bonnet of this thing is a 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine which puts out 140 kilowatts and 320 newton meters. Now, the punch offered by the engine, it isn't the sort of firecracker experience you do get in the flagship VZX alternative, but it's more than enough power to have fun, and I do like the 320 meters of torque. That is available really low down, and it is really handy for when you are coming out of a corner or you are going up a hill or punching away from a set of lights. It is really handy to have that power and torque down low. We've been driving this Cupra Ateca V around rural New South Wales, and might I say that they don't have the best road quality, but this thing is sort of just eaten up those little imperfections, and when you are on the open road, this thing sort of just skitters over sort of little pockmarks in the road, and it doesn't let too much phase its forward progress. I was talking before about this car's sort of diminutive exterior dimensions, and it actually makes this car quite easy to maneuver when you are around town. We were parking it in car parks yesterday, and it is really easy to put this car in its place, and you don't really worry about whether you're sticking out or how much space you've got to move. It is really easy to put this car in sort of tight spots, so that will be handy for when you are driving this car around town. You don't get that same sort of firecracker punch that you do get from the Ateca VZX, but there is enough power to have a little bit of fun. But yeah, you certainly don't get that theatre that you get from the flagship. But overall, this is a fun car to deploy on a rural back road. When you do plant your foot, it does take a little bit of time for the car to actually pick up and give you forward acceleration that you do need. So it is annoying when you are going to overtake something. You do have to preempt it a little bit. But overall, that smooth 7-speed dual clutch transmission is really well behaved, and it picks the right ratio at the right time. It's just sudden kick down accelerations where it isn't the most refined. The steering has a really nice general feel to it. Now, you can liven this thing up with 5 separate driving modes, but I like the steering that you do get in comfort because it has a really nice balance between sort of feeling what's going on underfoot and then not feeling too onerous to turn the vehicle as well. I was a little bit worried coming into this Cupra Ateca V driving experience that, with a view to making this thing as attractive as possible on price, the entire experience would have been distilled a little bit compared to the flagship Cupra Ateca VZX, but there is still a lot to love about this entry-level Cupra Ateca V. It is super spacious inside the cabin, the amount of features inside is really impressive as well, and it's also a fun driving experience, if lacking a little bit of punch and a little bit of theatre compared to the flagship. But overall, if you are looking for something that is packed full of features and spacious inside the cabin, this is a really smart buy in 2024, especially at that drive-away price point until the end of 2024.
If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like us on YouTube and stay subscribed to the Drive YouTube channel to get all of our future content as it uploads. As well, you can read the full review on this car, the Cupra Ateca V, on Drive.com.au.